Part 13. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 123. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Editor-in-Chief Li, the traffic of evil websites dropped by another 1% yesterday. When the staff saw that Editor-in-Chief Li heard this, his face darkened. He hesitated for a while, and couldn't help but said cautiously, "Since last month, we have lost too much traffic to Yuyuki." Yesterday's statistics show that Yuyuki's current website traffic is about 80% of what it was a month ago. Editor-in-Chief Li remained silent, with a gloomy expression on his face. Finally, he slowly exhaled a breath and nodded calmly, "I understand. Go down and call editors Lin and Qian." Hearing this, the staff nodded and went out. Seeing that the door was closed, Li Yu looked ugly. In just 1 month, 20% of the website traffic was lost. This was unimaginable in the past. In the past, although Yaokai was not as good as Tencent Animation, it was stronger than Tencent Animation in terms of traffic. After all, Tencent Animation is a new website in recent years. Although it has Tencent as a backer and relies on publicity, Yuyuki is an old website with a lot of traffic. Many old readers have become accustomed to Yuyuki's layout and viewing experience. It only took a month and it turned out like this. Miobi, oh, Li Yu sighed heavily. Why doesn't Miobi have a demonic aura? After saying that, Li Yu felt a little tired. In fact, in his opinion, it is only a matter of time before Tencent Animation surpasses Yu Yaokai, because Tencent Animation relies on Tencent headquarters. Let's not talk about publicity. The resources alone are sufficient than Yuyuki. This is an essential gap. It cannot be surpassed, even if it has no matter how many channels there are for evil spirits, they are not your own and are inherently deficient. Therefore, Miobi chose Tencent Animation, and Li Yu could only watch helplessly, with no choice. And due to the mystery of Susianer in reality, they don't know each other's address, and the other party has set up questions on QQ, which makes it impossible to add them, contact them, and even have no chance to poach them. If Li Yu knew that Susianer stayed at Tencent Animation because it was easy to register an account at Tencent Animation, I wonder if he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. For this reason alone, they have lost a comic princess who created a style of painting, expanded readers, and brought vitality to the comics industry. Editor-in-Chief Li. When the two chief editors Lin Qingzi and Qianjing came in, they saw Li Yu, who looked worried and irritable. They opened their mouths and could only say hello, then they sat down and remained silent. "You all know the news, right?" Li Yu didn't say anything polite. The two people in front of him were powerful editors of the Yuki editorial department. They were commendable in cultivating and discovering new people, and they were rich in experience. Well. The two nodded, and Lin Qingzi gave a bitter smile. "Editor-in-Chief, there is no solution to this matter. Unless we recruit Miobi, how can we compete with Tencent Animation? Miobi is now the idol of young readers. There are too many die-hard fans in the readership group. To exaggerate, readers aged 15-25 in the entire comic industry are basically fans of her. This is already considered to have wiped out all the readers in the comics industry, and we can't think of a way. The emergence of Susian series made all dead nerds become fans of Susianer, and the emergence of the orthodox comics Book of Life and Death made other readers like Susianer even more. The main reason is that the plot of Book of Life and Death is full of ups and downs. Every episode that appears has caused extremely heated discussions among fans, and they have been completely divided into two groups. One group supports Yagamayu and feels that Yagamayu should reshape the social order, so that sin will no longer appear. One group supports L, saying that Yagamayu is a sin in itself, and there are already signs of going astray. He has obviously fallen into the devil's path. If this continues, Yagamayu will be caught by L sooner or later. Apparently some people in the L party have vaguely felt that if this comic continues like this, if Yagamayu doesn't die, the comic may be banned. And because of these two factions, although there is no lively discussion of the previous phenomenon on Weibo, whenever the L party and the Shen party meet, they will always be at odds with each other. As a result, many onlookers who did not know the truth were curious and couldn't bear it after reading the Book of Life and Death. They turned from the masses to the party urging the change, and then from the party urging the change to the L party or one of the divine parties. However, among the parties in Book of Life and Death, the most numerous are not the two parties, but the party urging the renewal. After all, both the L party and the God party are essentially the party urging the renewal. Of course, Meowby.com is supportive of such signs. As long as they don't curse or make personal attacks, and be a clean keyboard warrior, they will naturally be happy to see such heated discussions. Now, after the increase in the number of people in Meobi Bar in the past few days, it has exceeded 1.5 million followers, and is about to break the 2 million mark. There are countless new posts every day, and it is active almost 24 hours a day. The bar owner also has a spot reserved for Susiener. Unfortunately, although Susiener sometimes visits this bar, she won't be exposed at all. Because her Taiba ID is Little Fairy. This is the Taiba ID given to her by her aunt Yayuking a long time ago. She has been using it for several years and is reluctant to change it, so she keeps using it. Therefore, Susiener will naturally not become a bar owner. If there is a Little Fairy in the gangster account in the future, won't it mean that she will no longer be able to hold her head high? When Jianjin heard this, he also sighed and said, "Editor Lin is right. The only way is to poach talented writers, but we can't even contact anyone, and now the Book of Life and Death comic has completely eliminated this year's newcomer comic competition. I'm so depressed that I can't even lift my head. Now the comics industry is all discussing Book of Life and Death. Newcomer competition? What is that? Is there such a competition?" So, in this case, the situation of the newcomer competition is very embarrassing. As for Chiao Mo and others, they have already given up struggling. Meobi has become a trend, and they are all called students of Meobi by readers. What else can they do? They can only learn Susiener style of painting, and then draw comics that readers praise. In this Meobi era, they have to say that they feel very sad. But they also feel very fortunate, because the style of painting pioneered by Susiener has made their comics known to more people, read by more people, and have more and more fans. Then as long as they keep up with Meobi's footsteps, even if they can't surpass the other party, success and fame are not a problem. Because, many well-known cartoonists in the comics industry now call the current comics industry the Bronze Age. The novelty of the painting style allows many cartoonists to read as long as the plot is acceptable and the painting style is not a muscle style, and readers can continue to read and gather fans. This is too easy and simple than before. This is the current comics industry after the painting style has changed. Hearing this, Li Yu had a headache. Actually, it's not that there is no solution. Lin Qingzi didn't know what he was thinking. After hesitating for a while, he slowly said in the expectant eyes of Li Yu and Jianjin, "We can ask Master Zhang to come out. Recommendation ticket. Monthly ticket. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao Bai Shengwu. Chapter 124. Invite Master Zhang to come out." When they heard Lin Qingzi's words, Li Yu and Jianjin were suddenly stunned. Inappropriate. The Book of Life and Death is now too influential. Although it will expand the readers of the comic circle again, we have also investigated before and found that these new readers basically only read the Book of Life and Death. Even if they read comics, they are still looking at Meobi's other works. As for other authors, they are still the same readers. When Jianjin heard this, he was startled and rejected the idea. In his opinion, Book of Life and Death surpasses all comics, so what's the use even if Zhang Xinran comes out? It's not like I'm going to be hung up and beaten by the Book of Life and Death. Now I go out to draw comics. It's just a dish that will be eaten by Miyobi. Hearing this, Li Yu also nodded in agreement. Nowadays, the sharpness of the wonderful pen is too strong, and many cartoonists have begun to learn each other's painting style, which has become more and more stylish, but why don't these people open new comics? Isn't it just because of the existence of Book of Life and Death? However, Lin Qingzi smiled and said, "You have all fallen into a misunderstanding. Book of Life and Death is indeed great, but it is a suspense reasoning genre. Although Book of Life and Death is not as brain-burning as comics of the same type, it makes readers more nervous and exciting, and Master Zhang is famous for his pure love paintings, so the two comics can completely complement each other." Upon hearing this, Li Yu's eyes suddenly lit up. Qianjing couldn't help but blurt out, "Different genres naturally lead to different readers, and the Book of Life and Death is intense and exciting, so Master Zhang can definitely draw a healing pure love to attract more readers, or after reading the Book of Life and Death readers can continue to read Master Jiang's comics to heal themselves." "Not bad," Lin Qingzi said with a smile. "Everyone here is a sharp-minded person. Naturally, they can understand everything at once, and there is no need for him to say more." "What about the painting style?" Qianjin hesitated. After all, Chun Ai cares most about the painting style. If Master Jiang's painting style is still in the previous era, I'm afraid it won't help no matter how good the plot is. Hearing this, Li Yu, as the editor-in-chief, obviously knew more, since Miyobi created a new style of painting. Several national figures in the comics industry have been studying Miyobi's painting style, and Master Zhang is naturally one of them. Although most of the master cartoonists have stopped drawing, everyone needs to improve, especially Zhang Xinran, who is currently serving as a mentor to all major cartoonists. Yuyuki holds cartoonist salons twice a year. In addition to attracting cartoonists, it is also a time for cartoonists to ask questions, and Zhang Xinran gives lectures. Therefore, as times advance, Zhang Xinran naturally needs to study and expand her painting style. As soon as Susian series came out, Zhang Xinran read it. Although it was a book, Zhang Xinran had already experienced what she should have gone through, so she didn't feel embarrassed. After all, a book cartoonist had asked her questions before. On the contrary, she was impressed by the wonderful writing that captured the essence of the book, the straight-to-the-point plot, and the mode of fighting all the way to the end. Of course, the style of painting is particularly important. Moreover, the painting style of Susian series is very suitable for painting pure love. Naturally, she was very happy to see it. She has been thinking about it for more than a month. As for this situation, Li Yu, as the chief editor, knew about it, but when he thought that the other party was going to come out, Zhang Xinran smiled gently and said, "I just like this style of painting, so I did some research, but I didn't continue to draw comics." Idea. When Li Yu told Master Jiang's thoughts, Lin Qingzi smiled mysteriously and said, "Master Zhang is studying this painting style every day, and as a pure love master, the other party will probably have new ideas when he studies this painting style. The more the other person likes the style of painting, the story accumulated in their mind will naturally stand out, and they will probably want to write it." "That's right." Li Yu heard this. Like Zhao Jing, he was also a cartoonist in the early days, but unlike Zhao Jing, he was invited by a famous cartoonist to be the editor-in-chief of an evil senior executive, so he also knew cartoonists well. But it's useless for them to speculate here, they have to ask each other. "Is Master Zhang in the company today?" "Yes, I saw Master Zhang this morning. I guess he hasn't left yet." 5 minutes later, when Zhang Xinran walked in and saw the three people in the office, he couldn't help but smile gently and said, "Hello, three editors." "Master Zhang," all three of them responded respectfully. Li Yu, the editor-in-chief, was influenced by each other in the early days. Although the two are about the same age, their status in the comics industry is very different. Lin Qingzi and Qianjin were just editors-in-chief, so they naturally did not dare to be presumptuous with Zhang Xinran in front of them. "You came to me, are you talking about comics?" Although Zhang Xinran is nearly 50 years old, she has taken good care of herself. Although her skin is no longer as fair and smooth as when she was young, and her forehead has a few wrinkles, her every move carries a gentle aura, which makes people feel like bathing in the spring breeze. Temperament. It seems that Master Zhang already knows. Li Yu smiled bitterly. Well. Zhang Xinran nodded lightly. After all, I am considered a member of the company. The rapid decline in traffic has made many employees panic. Since you are looking for me, you must want me to continue drawing comics, right? The three of them were stunned. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xinran guessed it before they asked. Then, Master Zhang, what do you mean? The three of them were extremely nervous at this opening. I agree. Zhang Xinran smiled amiably. I have been influenced by Miyobi's painting style recently, and I haven't started writing for a long time. I have a lot of stories in my mind, and I really want to draw them for readers to see. The so-called not starting writing just means that she hasn't drawn comics specifically. Zhang Xinran's painting foundation has not been abandoned in normal times, or in other words, since she stopped writing, she has not abandoned her comic foundation privately. On the contrary, because there is no influence from comics, her foundation has become deeper. For more than a month, she often imitated the style of the Suxian series and even expanded it into a new style that suits her. This is why she wants to continue trying. Why did Lu Qingyun draw the saint 1 year after he stopped writing? It's because he couldn't hold back his desire to draw comics. Zhang Xinran also had this idea. He hadn't drawn comics for too long, and now he can't wait. Li Yu and the other two were surprised when they heard it. Zhang Xinran agreed without their persuasion. When will your comic be released, Master Zhang? Li Yu asked expectantly. We can promote it in advance then. No hurry, I'll talk about it after I get my thoughts sorted out. Okay. Li Yu said happily, then I'll congratulate Master Zhang on the big sales of his comic. Thank you. When Zhang Xinran left, Qianjin suddenly said, Editor-in-Chief, do you think the people from Tencent Comics will ask Miyobi to snipe Master Zhang? The two were stunned when they heard this, and then Li Yu shook his head and laughed, no. The comic book of life and death is enough to burn the author's brain. If Miyobi opens another pure love book, I guess he won't be able to sort out his thoughts. And I heard that Miyobi is a senior high school student, and Book of Life and Death was handed over to the artists of Bilibili and MiHoYo to complete. Naturally, he can't have time to think about pure love stories. Lin Qingzi and Qianjin thought about it and both breathed a sigh of relief. Now our main business is to focus on Master Jiang's new pure love comic. Recommended Chinese comic Take My Brother Away, you can watch it on Bilibili. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 125. Susianer. Yuexi High School, Teacher's Office. Zhou Qinjia was furious when she saw Susianer standing lazily in front of her. Fortunately, all the other teachers in the office are in class now, otherwise this shout would definitely frighten many people. The students who were hurriedly passing by the office were startled when they passed by. When they looked inside the office, they were stared at by Zhou Qinjia and scared away. Teacher, I'm not deaf, Susianer said speechlessly. She was standing in front of you. You were still so loud, but she didn't say too much. We are now in the senior year of high school and there is still 1 semester left. You should be timid. Jo Kinja is a good friend of her aunt Yayuking. If the other party snitches in front of her aunt, she will be in trouble. After all, Lin Jingshi's dream university is the Huaxia Conservatory of Music, and when she goes there, she will definitely go to visit her aunt. Stand up straight, Jo Kinja patted the table and said angrily as she looked at Susienur, who was standing lazily and casually in front of her. Then she saw Susienur move, and after a few seconds, she turned into that with such a look, he couldn't help but helplessly say, "You little girl, a month has changed a lot." Although she said this, Jo Kinja did not suspect anything. Instead, she raised the notebook on the table and said fiercely, "I asked you to keep a good diary before, and you just fooled me like this." "No, I wrote it honestly." Susienur looked innocent, but she cursed in her heart, "What age is it, and students are still required to keep diaries?" Jo Kinja obviously didn't know what Susienur was thinking. She asked every classmate in the class to write a diary, so she was naturally preparing to train everyone's writing skills and perseverance. After all, writing a diary must be done every day. Although it is boring, persistence is important. And once diary writing becomes a hobby, it will cultivate people's ability and enthusiasm to observe life and express life. However, keeping a diary must be persistent to be effective. Being able to persist in it means that you are interested in composition. In this way, you can accumulate materials and improve the beauty of the language. It will not be difficult to write in the examination room. This is Jo Kinja's understanding, so she will read it every month. Of course, diaries are the privacy of students. Jo Kinja usually keeps a rough look at them, even just glancing at whether the students have written anything, without looking into the contents in detail. After all, these are students' privacy, but she also knows that even so, students will not write down their real privacy. But these are enough, as long as you persist. Susienur's diary is what Jo Kinja focuses on. In fact, the other party recorded it for a few days last month and then stopped writing it, which made her extremely angry. And this month, she naturally wanted to take a closer look. When I saw the result, I became even more angry. "Write well." Jo Kinja sneered, picked up the diary on the table, opened a page at random, and started reading. October 11th, gold. October 12th, gold. October 13th, what the hell, rubbish mobile game, explode on the spot, uninstall it. On October 14th, my dad was so angry that he was banned from posting on his own forum. Report it? Why hasn't the school exploded on October 17th? October 20th, the senior year of high school is really retarded. I have been taking exams all day long and I have been tested as mentally retarded. On October 21st, readers came to urge me to draw a book again, but ignored. October 25th, gold. October 26th, Krypton gold. October 27th, damn. We have classes today due to the haze, life -1s. October 28th is another day of wasting time at school. October 31st, there is still 1 week until the arrival of my aunt, so always be prepared. A teacher who came in for who knows how long, holding a textbook in his hand, finally couldn't help laughing. "Teacher Joe, I didn't know that students had such a side." As a well-known outstanding student in the school, Susienur is often said by their teachers to be other people's children. Therefore, from the first year of high school to the third year of high school, other students' ears are almost getting calloused. Now they don't hear Susienur every day. They were all surprised by his son's name. So when the teacher came in, listening to Jo Kinja reading the diary, and then seeing Susienur standing in front of him, he felt completely changed beyond recognition. Hearing this, Jo Kinja almost laughed as she thought about it. This little girl has been addicted to games recently, and she has become like this in just over a month. As she said this, she was helpless. This is why Joe Kinja did not doubt that Susiener had changed so much in 1 month. After all, people who are addicted to online games are like this. They studied well at first, but after a month or two, their grades plummeted. I heard that student Su's grades seemed to be the first in the grade. Teacher Chin smiled softly, looked at Susiener and said, then it is necessary to combine work and rest. Student Su is so outstanding, and playing games properly is not can't. Hearing this, Susiener secretly gave a thumbs up. Is this other people's teacher? Jo Kinja shook her head, but did not say much. She continued to look at Susiener and said, there are too many swear words in the diary. Remember to change it? I will check it when it is collected next month. Susiener's pretty face fell, and she said feebly, teacher, those are not swear words, they are modal particles that express exclamation. It must be changed, Jo Kinja snorted, and, don't learn bad things online. If I find out, I will tell your aunt. What else can Susiener say? She can only nod to show that she will obey. It has been almost 2 months since she came to this world. Her original catchphrases are hum, 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 but Chen Shui, Lin Jingshu and Jo Kinja have forced her to correct them, so she doesn't say much. Now they even control the internet. Susiener is angry. This is the old society. This is the best literary inquisition. The last point, I won't interfere with you playing games, but if your grades drop, you can't play games anymore, understand? I know Susiener rolled her eyes. This senior year question is so simple, you can be the first in the grade in minutes, okay? Okay, go to class. Jo Kinja waved her hand and was about to send Susiener away, then suddenly thought of something and said, wait, go and call Jingshu over, I want to have a good talk with her. Teacher, you won't let Jingshu supervise me writing my diary at home, right? Susiener shuddered at the thought of that hellish scene. What are you thinking about? Jo Kinja glared at the other party and said worriedly, the monthly exam results came out yesterday, and Jingshu's score dropped by about 10 places. Did she encounter something? The other party and Lin Jingshu shared a house, so Jo Kinja expected Susiener to find out something. I don't know, however, Susiener herself was a little confused. Lin Jingshu has always maintained the level of the top 10 in the grade. She is a top student. If she performs normally in the college entrance examination, Tsinghua University and Yanda University are not a dream. Moreover, the other party has been studying hard, so how could her grades drop? With this question, Susiener returned to the class and asked Lin Jingshu to go to the office to see the teacher. Please vote, V. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 127. Chapter 126 Lin Jingshu's Fall, 14. After school in the afternoon, Susiener and Lin Jingshu went home together. What did the teacher talk to you about? Susiener asked curiously. She was very surprised by the sudden drop in Lin Jingshu's grades. Because the grades of other students did not drop or improve, that is, the level remained the same, but Lin Jingshu's grades dropped. This means that she was a little absent-minded in the recent courses, which led to the drop in grades. The second half of the third year of high school is the second half of the third year of high school to review all the courses from the first to the third year of high school. Although it is November now, there are still some courses to study. If you suddenly stop, you will probably be confused about the courses that follow. It's like math. You have to listen to every class. If you miss a class, you will be confused in the next class. This is how many high school students' math grades drop. Then, they are lazy or embarrassed to ask teachers and classmates for help. Their studies plummet, and then they give up on themselves and become poor students. So, Susiener wanted to know if this was the reason for Lin Jingshu. I talked to you about some study matters, Lin Jingshu said in embarrassment. I've missed some lessons recently, so I have to make up for them in the evening. Are you in a relationship? Susiener suddenly asked, startling Lin Jingshu. Her eyes were darting around, and she said in a panic, no. Really? Susiener looked at Lin Jingshu suspiciously. No matter how she looked at her, she thought that she was in this situation, but she had never been in a relationship, so she was not sure. But Susiener felt a little uncomfortable. What if the other party was really in a relationship? I guess she would have no time to cook because of the relationship, and she might have to order takeout in the future. The most terrifying thing is that if the other party moved out and didn't share the rent with her, she would have to live alone in the future. But Susiener didn't care much about this. What she cared about was what to do with homework in the future. Without the other party to help her with homework, would she have to do it herself? Shit. It's not time to think about these things now. Susiener had mixed emotions, but she didn't show any jealousy. On the contrary, she thought it was normal for Lin Jingshu to be in a relationship. After all, she was a high school student. It's just that after being together for nearly 2 months, although she didn't have the idea of lesbian relationship with the other party, she still liked him a little bit. After all, the other party was so virtuous, and there was no man who didn't like this kind of girl, right? But thinking that she was also a girl now, Susiener felt complicated. Lily, it sounds good. But in reality, it is still not accepted by others, especially in China. The most important thing is that she has no father or mother, so there is no pressure, but Lin Jingshu has parents. As long as the other party's parents are normal people, they will definitely not accept their daughter as a lesbian. In addition, although Susiener is lazy and decadent, she will also draw people she knows in a bad way in the book, which is enough to show that her camp is chaotic and evil. But in this regard, her 3 views are still very positive, so Susiener feels that she is probably single in this life, and forget about lesbianism. It's too troublesome to deal with it, and it's really not in line with her character to disrupt other people's family relationships. Moreover, she is a stay-at-home, staying at home every day. The only person she likes is Lin Jingshu, and she knows few people. It is estimated that she will be like this in the future, so maybe being single is the way out. It is also good to be a lesbian with Lin Jingshu. Of course, if the other party wants to be a lesbian with her and her family agrees, it will be wonderful, but this situation is just a dream. After thinking about it, Susiener's mood calmed down, but what about homework? Do you really have to do it yourself? When Susiener thought of this, she was very worried. Doing homework is simply a waste of time and life. Lin Jingshu next to her suddenly saw that Susiener was silent, and glanced at her. Seeing that the other party had a dull look in her eyes, it was obvious that she didn't know what she was thinking about, and blurted out, "What are you thinking about?" "I just like reading novels and comics recently." After saying this, Lin Jingshu was also stunned, not knowing why she had to explain this. "What?" Susiener was stunned, and subconsciously said, "Jingshu, you actually walked on the right path." Before, Susiener and Lin Jingshu were instilled that life is short, enjoy life while you can, and study hard to get into college, and there is no need to work so hard. After all, with her grades, she can definitely enter the Huaxia Conservatory of Music. Unfortunately, Lin Jingshu has strong self-control and does not accept Susiener's teachings at all. As a result, she actually read novels and comics secretly. Susiener looked at her teasingly, which made Lin Jingshu helpless. The reason why she didn't tell Susiener was because she knew that she would definitely be teased by her, but seeing her worried look, she felt warm in her heart, so she just told her. With a snort, Lin Jingshu said, "I was recently recommended by a fan to master Jiang's Pure Love comic 100 Days of Breakup, but it is still being serialized. Then I found his previous works, but I couldn't stand the muscular style, so I looked for adapted novels to read. As an early martial arts pure love master, Zhang Xinran has a strong storyline, regardless of the painting style. Whether it is healing or depression treatment, the plot is very touching under his pen, but the muscular style of painting is indeed unbearable to watch in modern times, especially pure love. So Zhang Xinran decisively stopped writing, but the copyright of the other party was sold very crazily, especially the novel adaptation. Almost every one of Zhang Xinran's pure love works has been adapted into novels, TV series, and movies, and the market response is very enthusiastic. Among the female fan groups, Zhang Xinran can be said to be their idol. This is why Li Yu and the other two were so excited when Zhang Xinran agreed to come out after the cartoonist changed his style. As long as the other party dares to draw, then he will become popular. When Zhang Xinran debuted in the early days, his martial arts pure love comics were so touching that they gathered many die-hard fans. Many people could ignore the style and imagine the plot by themselves. Most of these die-hard fans are middle-aged and have a very strong social status. If they gather together, they will be a very powerful force. Maybe they don't read comics anymore, but as long as it is Zhang Xinran's comics, they must read it. It can be said that Zhang Xinran's works have been with them for more than 10 years and have been deeply rooted. Even if Zhang Xinran's works are not up to standard now, they will continue to follow. This is the charm of Zhang Xinran. Fans follow him, as if they are fans of Zhang Xinran as a person, not his works. This is the foundation of the national masters in the comics world for more than 10 or 20 years. Maybe now Susiener's fans in the younger generation have surpassed these masters, but the media will not report it as such. Unless in the past few years, during this period, Susiener could become the real queen of the comics world as long as she continued to produce works, and no one could surpass her, even those national masters could only look up to her. But now it has only been 2 months, and Susiener has not reached this level. Even if she has created a new style of painting, her works, if not counting the Susien series, are only a comic book of life and death. A masterpiece really does not represent anything. If Susiener's subsequent works can surpass Book of Life and Death or be equal to or even inferior to it, it will be fine, because the quality of Book of Life and Death is indeed difficult to surpass. Then as long as she maintains the standard, Susiener's social status can be infinitely raised, and it is only a matter of time before she surpasses those national masters in the comics world. Really, Susiener narrowed her eyes and was relatively happy. She is the kind of hedonist who advocates enjoying life in the moment, but she will not force others to follow her views. Now Lin Jingshu has actually started to read novels and comics, so she naturally will not say anything about studying hard and making progress every day. Because now even if Lin Jingshu's grades drop, it is enough for her to go to Huaxia Conservatory of Music, so it is natural for her to read comics and novels. But 2 or 3 days later, Susiener regretted it. There are 3 more chapters to be released in the evening. This chapter is secretly coded Cover Your Face. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 128. Chapter 127. I'll tell you a pure love story. 24. Jingshu, I'm hungry. I forgot, how about you order takeout? Okay. Jingshu, where's the homework? Oh. It's already this late? I haven't done it yet, and classmate Su is running out of time. How about you do it yourself? I also have to finish my homework. Jingshu. Wait, the latest episode of 100 Days of Breaking Up is out, wait for me to finish reading. It has to be said that Zhang Xinran's debut comic 100 Days of Breaking Up has great magic. Not only Lin Jingshu is obsessed with it, but also cartoonists and readers in the comics industry are obsessed with it. Tisk tisk, Master Zhang is still awesome. This 100 Days of Breakup has only been serialized for half a month, and with only 4 episodes, it has become so popular. It's really rare. Hee, isn't it just plagiarizing the style of Miyobi teacher? Don't be sour, Master Zhang is an early pure love master. The other party also said that the style of painting is indeed borrowed from Myobi teacher, but the difference from the Suxian series is that Master Jiang's style is softer and pure, and it is obvious that he has expanded the style of painting after his own understanding. That's right, and I think this phenomenon is good. Otherwise, every time the forum is full of discussions about Myobi, I almost thought that Myobi teacher was the only cartoonist in the comics industry. In half a month, Zhang Xinran's new pure love comic 100 Days of Breakup has been promoted in advance by Yu Yaokai, and the style after release is obviously very different from the muscular style of early martial arts. And this time, Zhang Xinran's new work sets the story in the city, on high school students and schools, which is eye-catching. The story of 100 Days of Breaking Up is about a boy and girl who were originally in love, but were forced to break up after being discovered by their teachers and parents. However, the two protagonists continued to date secretly in private. The kind of youthful and immature innocence that stopped at holding hands, coupled with the plot's intentional creation of a sense of tension that would be discovered by parents and teachers at any time, and the occasional light comedy, made many readers who are no longer high school students nervous, but also full of longing. And those high school students are even worse, especially female high school students, who always look satisfied, longing and happy every time they see a new series. Lin Jingshu is like this now. She is no longer satisfied with the story of 100 Days of Breaking Up, but she doesn't like Zhang Xinran's previous painting style, so she found the pure love novel adapted from the other comics to read. Of course, people in the comics industry did not compare the Book of Life and Death with 100 Days of Breaking Up. Yu Yaokai even did not mention the Book of Life and Death when praising Zhang Xinran's new work. In addition to the different themes, the two works are completely incomparable in terms of fame. Life and Death book is popular all over the country, while 100 Days of Breakup is only hotly serialized in the comics industry. The fame is not at the same level at all, so there is naturally no comparison. So when Yu Yaokai promoted and invited the internet army to praise it, they were very sensible not to compare it. Even if there was a sign of such a comparison in the forum, they directly asked the internet army to come out and change the topic. It was really that Life and Death book was too popular. For this reason, the number of followers on Myobi Bar has exceeded 2.5 million. From a glimpse of the leopard, we can know the popularity of Life and Death book now. And Susiener has been very troubled these days. Lin Jingshu likes to read comics and novels, so she is naturally happy. In the future, when the two chat, it will not be about functions, shopping, clothes, cosmetics, and music, but can be expanded to comics and novels. But, she is used to eating Lin Jingshu's cooking. Now she is a little uncomfortable eating takeout, but she can barely swallow it. The most important thing is the homework problem. This week, she has been called to Joe Kinja's office for lectures one after another because she didn't do her homework, but she feels that it is a waste of time to ask her to do it. But, Lin Jingshu is addicted to novels and comics every day. What can she do? Can she still ask her not to read novels and comics? No. I can't go on like this. Susiener was playing games, and suddenly clenched her fists and said, "If I don't do my homework, the class teacher will report it to my aunt, isn't it the end?" Speaking of this, Susiener stopped playing games, got off the chair and went directly to Lin Jingshu's bedroom door and pushed the door open. Hearing the noise, Lin Jingshu turned around and saw Susiener coming in. She thought she was hungry, so she said, "Student Su, I'll go cook right away." "Wait a minute," Susiener said righteously, "I'm not here to ask you to go out and cook today, but to tell you a story." "Tell you a story?" Lin Jingshu was stunned. "What story? Aren't you addicted to pure love comics and novels recently?" "Yes." Lin Jingshu looked embarrassed and argued weakly, "But I'm not addicted to games like you." Indeed, although Lin Jingshu was addicted to pure love novels and comics, her homework and appearance were the same as usual. She was not like Susiener, who stayed at home all day playing games, surfing the internet, and watching videos. As long as she didn't have classes, she would not go out all day and didn't tidy up her appearance. And after being called to the office by Joe Kinja last time, she was not so addicted anymore, and she would review and study in her free time. She is still the same as before, just a little bit lazy, a little bit less active, a little bit less diligent in study, and a little bit less out. Well, just a little bit. Susiana rolled her eyes. Let me tell you a pure love story. Hearing this, Lin Jingshu's eyes lit up and she couldn't help but said, really? Lin Jingshu did not question whether Susiana would speak, but looked forward to it. Because she has also watched the Book of Life and Death, Susiana's ability to control the plot is simply top-notch. If she didn't know what the other person usually looks like, Lin Jingshu would definitely become the other person's crazy fan. However, after knowing Susiana's true nature, she felt nothing at all. But Lin Jingshu recognized Susiana's storytelling ability. Although she had never written a novel or drawn a comic, she knew that if a novel or comic is attractive, it means that the author is very mature in storytelling ability. So Susiana wanted to tell her a pure love story, and Lin Jingshu was naturally very happy and looking forward to it. In the past 2 weeks, she had read all the novels adapted from Zhang Xinran's comics, and had also finished updating 100 Days of Breaking Up, and then she felt empty inside. Since she had no novels or comics to read, Susiana now solved her urgent need. Of course it's true. Tell me, what kind of pure love story do you want to hear? Susiana said with a conceited face, looking down at the world. I'll make it up for you on the spot, so you can see what Master Jiang's story is. The chickens and dogs are not worth mentioning. Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes at Susiana, believing you are evil, but she couldn't help but said, I want to hear a pure love story about campus. Influenced by 100 Days After Breaking Up, Lin Jingshu obviously prefers pure campus love. Okay, let me tell you a love story between Ke Jingteng and Shen Jiyi. Susiana sat directly on the bed and said leisurely, the title is The Girls We Chased in Those Years. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 129. Chapter 128. I feel like the story has been hollowed out. 34. The cherry blossoms were flying slowly, the tram was dinging, and a woman was walking over in front of me. Her white sandals made a nice crisp sound on the concrete floor, but the sound was immediately drowned in the sound of the tram siren. The two of them passed each other on the railway. For a moment, a faint light suddenly lit up in Gishu's heart. He walked forward, and if he turned back now, that person would definitely turn back. He had this thought strongly. There is no basis, but full of confidence. So, when he had completely walked across the railway, he slowly turned around and looked at the woman. Akari also slowly turned around, and their eyes met. Just when Gishu's heart and memory were about to boil, a running train blocked their sight. After a while, seeing that Susiana stopped talking, Lin Jingshu said anxiously, what else? Have Gishu and Mingli met? No, it's over. By the time the tram passes, Mingli will have disappeared, and Gishu Mao can't even be seen. Susiana's understatement made Lin Jingshu's eyes turn red, and then Susiana felt a small plier on her waist. Then she heard Lin Jingshu say in a soft voice with sobs, change the ending. Susiana was dripping with cold sweat, afraid of being pinched by the other party's little hand, so she quickly said, change, 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 I'll change. Gishu turned around and saw Mingli, his eyes were surprised, and then Mingli also saw Gishu, and shouted happily saying Gishu. The two happily recognized their marriage, and then went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get the marriage certificate, and the whole text was completed. Puff. The suppressed emotions just now improved a lot after hearing this illogical and absurd ending. Lin Jingshu rolled her eyes at Susiener angrily and said, "What kind of ending do you want, and isn't Mingli married?" "Yes, but you can also get divorced. The power of love is great, and neither time nor space can stop it," Susiener said righteously. Lin Jingshu knew that the story of 5 centimeters per second was another tragedy. Thinking of her lying in bed unable to get up, she said softly, "My heart is tired, I'm going to sleep." "No, I want to have dinner." Susiener looked at Lin Jingshu longingly. "Order takeout." Takeaway is unhygienic. Susiener's mouth had long been stuck in Lin Jingshu's mouth, and eating takeaway was simply unappetizing. Okay, Lin Jingshu touched her stomach and felt hungry. Seeing the other party going out, Susiener breathed a sigh of relief, but soon she felt bitter. 1 week, this week since the beginning of The Girls We Chased in Those Years, Lin Jingshu has been pestering her to tell stories every day as if she was possessed. Helpless, Susiener could only obey the other party. Of course, besides listening to stories every day, Lin Jingshu became the same as before. Cooking, helping her with homework, life has returned to normal. But now I am tired of being next to her every day and asking her to tell pure love stories every day. And this week she talked about the girls we chased in those years, the first intimate contact, the days of living with the stewardess, love letters, love in the sky, love photos, etc., etc. in her previous life in China and Japan. Some of Han's classic pure love stories almost emptied her mind of all the stories. If this continues, she will rush out of Asia to tell a Western story of pure love. However, she no longer wants to talk about it. She wants to play games, watch videos, watch ghosts, and read novels. After talking for a week, she no longer had time to play the game. Isn't this putting the cart before the horse? We have to find a way to stop it. At this time, Lin Jingshu was playing with her mobile phone while waiting for the water to boil in the kitchen. Recently, I have been obsessed with listening to Susiener stories. She no longer looks forward to Zhang Xinran's comics updates every day as before. In other words, this kind of thinking has become very weak. She has a feeling that Zhang Xinran loves her more, and classmate Sue's stories are more interesting anyway. Touching mentality. Of course, if there is an update, Lin Jingshu will still read it. And now Lin Jingshu is being liked in the group, claiming that 100 Days of Breaking Up has been updated. Fans of Lin Jingshu also know that they are following the comic 100 Days of Breaking Up, and most people in the group are following this comic. In other words, 100 Days After Breaking Up has gone through demonic publicity, coupled with the fermentation of quality, and there are 2 episodes a week. Each episode is more than 30 pages, so the plot develops very quickly. Of course, this also means that this comic is a short pure love comic. But even if it is a short comic, 100 Days of Breaking Up has also aroused heated discussions on the internet. Although it is not as big as the original response of Book of Life and Death, it is not small. I have been following the comic 100 Days of Breaking Up since Master Zhang started updating it. To be honest, the style of painting made my eyes shine. Master Jiang's skills have obviously not declined, but he has returned to his original nature. Yes. This comic completely depicts that kind of youthful and hazy innocence, with a very real touch. However, when the male and female protagonists broke up for 100 days and graduated from the college entrance examination, the plot took a turn and went in another direction. One in the south and one in the north, the male and female protagonists went to different universities respectively, and it became a long-distance relationship. I have a bad feeling. Undoubtedly, although the ending of 100 Days of Breaking Up has not yet come out, I can already predict that this comic will be a tragedy. The innocence and warmth depicted above are all preparations for tragedy, from the time parents and teachers stop dating in secret, from the end of the college entrance examination to the end of the college entrance examination, the male and female protagonists move towards an upright relationship, and then to a long-distance relationship. In just 1 or 2 episodes, Master Jiang's ability to control the plot is irresistible, but it also symbolizes the coming of tragedy. When an A-list movie star commented and praised 100 Days of Breaking Up, his fans were so impressed that they couldn't help but watch it. For a moment, I couldn't help but be shocked. First, the painting style attracts them. Secondly, Zhang Xinran's storytelling ability is experienced, without any sense of jerkiness and full of coherence. In addition, there is only one book of life and death in the comics industry that has attracted attention recently. Many readers who have just entered the comic circle are in urgent need of other comics to fill their desire to eat, and 100 Days of Breaking Up has become the best food. Although 100 Days of Breaking Up is not as sensational as Book of Life and Death, Yu Yaokai is already satisfied. In more than a month, Yu Yaokai's traffic has increased dramatically, surpassing the previous traffic, and it continues to rise. Although these are due to their publicity, they are essentially brought to them by the quality of Zhang Xinran's comics. Therefore, many young people have become Zhang Xinran's crazy fans, such as some people in Lin Jingshu's group. 100 Days After Breaking Up will definitely become a classic of pure love. I guess it is only a matter of time before it surpasses Book of Life and Death. Hey, you are exaggerating. The popularity of Book of Life and Death is beyond your imagination. You wouldn't think that Weibo is discussing 100 Days After Breaking Up now, so you think it has surpassed Book of Life and Death, right? Isn't it right? Apart from the Miobi bar and the small-scale places on Weibo, where is the discussion of Book of Life and Death? What a shame. Miobi bar has almost 3 million people now. Have you seen other comics with this kind of popularity? People don't like to discuss it in other places because they think it will annoy people. Go and read it yourself at Miobi bar, look how hot it is. Haha. Didn't Book of Life and Death become popular because of the public opinion on Weibo? And are the fans of Book of Life and Death like this? They are full of swear words. Oh? Isn't 100 Days After Breaking Up promoted by a demon? And, I'm sorry, I usually say swear words to the stupid ones, because I'm afraid people like you won't understand if I speak Mandarin. Okay, the themes of the two comics are different. Is there any comparison? I'm following both of them. Wouldn't it be great to read Book of Life and Death and break up in 100 days? This guy was belittling teacher Shuabai in the Xiaojing group. It's a good thing I didn't kick him. Idiot. You don't need to kick me, I will retreat on my own. Go away. After Lin Jingshu was taken by it, she picked up her phone and saw this scene. She didn't say anything, but she held a breath in her heart and felt very uncomfortable. Then, the water stopped boiling and she ran directly to Susieno's bedroom. Seeing that the other party was playing a game, Lin Jingshu went over and pouted, "Stop playing games and draw comics. This time, draw pure love, I want to read it." Susieno was confused. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shengwu. Chapter 130. Chapter 129. Your name, 44. Since Susieno told her the girl we chased together in those years a week ago, Lin Jingshu has completely become a die-hard fan of Susieno. After Susieno told her classic pure love stories one after another in the past few days, Lin Jingshu also went back to watch 100 Days of Breaking Up, but she was not as moved as before. It's not that 100 Days of Breaking Up is not good, but compared with the stories told by Susieno, plus the classic pure love stories she has heard too much, she is not as moved as before. This is Susieno's purpose. After watching too many classics, watching other things will naturally become boring. By then, won't Lin Jingshu become the same as before? What's wrong? When Susieno heard what Lin Jingshu said, she couldn't help but look confused. Telling stories every day is not enough, and you also want me to draw them? Forgive me. When Lin Jingshu told the story in the group, Susiener looked at her speechlessly. What's the big deal? There are trolls, brainless fans, black fans, water army, actors, they are everywhere. If you take it seriously, you will lose. Susiener has not watched 100 Days of Breakup, but it is impossible to surpass the Book of Life and Death. First of all, the subject matter is different and there is no comparison. If you really want to compare, the popularity of the Book of Life and Death is far better than 100 Days of Breakup. So, Susiener is not angry at all. If she is angry about such things, she should not play games anymore. But, Susiener is not angry, but Lin Jingshu, who has become a brainless fan of her pure love story, feels uncomfortable. If it wasn't her fan group, she would definitely bubble up and argue. As a result, she found Susiener, and now the other party is persuading her not to be angry, which really makes her angry. If you promise me to draw pure love comics, I will agree to what you said last time. Really? Hearing this, Susiener jumped up from the chair, looking at Lin Jingshu with sparkling eyes, excited and weird, with complicated emotions. Just kidding, Lin Jingshu reacted after she said it, regretted it in her heart, covered her face, felt her hot cheeks, and regretted it directly. But since the opening was made, how could Susiener let her escape? A light flashed in her mind, and she slowly opened her mouth to tempt. Recently I have been thinking about a pure love comic, which is better than the stories I told before. I can guarantee it, but as long as you can promise me what I said before. Don't even think about it. Lin Jingshu has calmed down now, so she won't be fooled. Then don't ask me to tell stories in the future. Susiener rolled her eyes, regretting in her heart. Why didn't she think of this when she told the story before? Now a basket of stories have been thrown out, and it's too late to regret. Then, I won't cook. It's okay, I have takeout. I won't help you with your homework either. It doesn't matter. I just didn't want to do it before. After all, it's too simple and will lower my IQ. But now I think it's quite interesting to spend a few seconds writing casually. Lin Jingshu stared with aggrieved eyes. Agree or not? Susiener pressed. No, Lin Jingshu shook her head firmly. Then I'll play games. Looking at Susiener, who continued to play games on the chair, Lin Jingshu looked eager, but stood by and didn't leave, just looking at Susiener. A few seconds later, Lin Jingshu gently shook Susiener's shoulders and said in a sweet voice, "Students suggest draw." These days, when Susiener told stories and said she wanted to take a break, Lin Jingshu just had to act like a spoiled child and the other party couldn't resist. But today, Susiener was immune and played games wholeheartedly. Seeing that the other party ignored her, Lin Jingshu bit her pink lips lightly and stood beside Susiener in a daze, obviously struggling with her conscience. After a long time, when Susiener was so hungry, Lin Jingshu finally made up her mind and said, "I agree." Really? Susiener was surprised and obviously had been waiting for the other party's answer anxiously. "But, if the comics you draw are not good looking, this request will be invalid. Whether it is good looking or not depends on my standards." Lin Jingshu and Susiener have been together for a long time and have become cunning. No problem. However, Susiener agreed directly. She believed that after the other party read the comic, the request would definitely not be avoided. She didn't believe that Lin Jingshu would say it was not good looking against her conscience. "Then I'll go cook." Seeing Lin Jingshu running out of the door, Susiener clenched her fists and became excited. "My dream. It's finally coming true." Thinking of that request, Susiener's nose was bleeding. After a while, Susiener also reacted. Now the most urgent thing is not to think about these things, but how to draw that comic. But don't worry, the comic is a short pure love story, with a total of 9 chapters. Although each chapter is a long story of 40-60 pages, it is already short for comics. She can finish this comic within a month. Thinking of this, Susienner's mind turned quickly. She first called her Aunt Amy Yip. "Hey, Fairy, are you going to send me money again?" "When I call you, you want money," Susienner said unhappily, "but as long as you do what I'm going to talk about later, the money you owe can be paid off soon." "And the money I owe Chen Rui," Susienner added in her heart. "No problem. Tell me, what do you want to do, as long as it's not rounded corners?" "Find a place. That place should have a high school, a coffee shop and a high-end restaurant. It's best if there are people coming and going. After you find it, take pictures with your mobile phone. You need panoramic, semi-panoramic, and detailed pictures. It's best to start from the high school." "That's so troublesome. I still have to go to work." Last. Just when she was about to swear, Susienner held back when she thought that the other party was her aunt. "What class? Once this is done, the money will fly to you like paper." "Really?" Yayuking obviously chose to believe Susienner. After all, the other party could get so much money, and she asked Jokinja that it was not a dirty income, so she was naturally relieved. "Of course. Then I'll find it. Just hire someone to use a camera to take pictures for you all the way. It's too troublesome to take pictures one by one." "No problem." Susienner slapped her head. Her method just now was really stupid. After hanging up the phone, Susienner called Chen Shui again and asked her to help find a beautiful scenery, but the village must be semi-isolated from the world, and there must be a lake and a place with strange terrain. "Are you asking me to look for it in the deep mountains and old forests?" Chen Shui was speechless, feeling that she would never find such a place in her life. 50,000. "If you find it, I will give you a bonus of 50,000, and I will reimburse you for your recent travel expenses." "No problem, watch me." Chen Shui responded excitedly without any reservation. What is Susienner going to do? Of course, she is going to draw comics. As for what she is going to draw, of course, it is your name. And Makoto Shinkai likes to restore reality in animated movies, especially your name. So Susienner, who claims to be a preacher of another world, naturally has to do the same, otherwise it would be a disgrace to this animated movie. Of course, her main purpose is to do what she asked Lin Jingshu to do before. It is also Lin Jingshu's request, otherwise your name will not be drawn by Susienner until who knows when. At this time, Susienner has already called Zhao Jing. "I want to draw pure love comics." Fourth update completed. Please vote OVO. Thanks to Love Breakup for being the cute master of this book. Thanks to Rotten Fish at Home for being the master of this book. Thanks to Yichi for being the head of this book. Thanks to George Miao for being the master of this book. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 131. Late in the evening, Zhao Jing had just finished dinner and the family was walking in the park outside. As a result, Zhao Jing received a call from Susienner. "I want to draw pure love comics." When Susienner's crisp voice came from the phone, Zhao Jing was stunned. Then he pulled his wife and daughter to sit on a bench in the park and asked in confusion, "Miobi teacher, I don't recommend you to do this. You didn't have this idea after seeing 100 Days of Breaking Up." As he said, Zhao Jing frowned slowly. He admitted that 100 Days of Breaking Up had successfully established a foothold in the comics industry after more than a month of baptism, but this was after all a new style of painting expanded by Zhang Xinran based on Susienner's Susien series style, plus the other party's carefully crafted storyline, and the comics were drawn. Zhang Xinran's reputation is too big, and now the other party has come out and reversed the decline of Yu Yaokai in one fell swoop. But this is actually within the results of Tencent Comics analysis. When Master Zhang came out and released the first episode, he held a meeting to discuss how to deal with this situation. At that time, everyone discussed and said that they would target commercially without violating the law. But Luoyang said something that made everyone suddenly realize. Why do you do this? Luoyang was puzzled. I don't know what you think, but in my opinion, the act circle is small now, and it's hard to come up with a wonderful pen and create a new style. And Book of Life and Death has expanded a large number of readers and audiences for this circle. Now Master Jiang's new work is released. Although it is the first release on Yu Yaokai website, if the quality of 100 Days of Breaking Up is good, then this circle can continue to expand. When there are more readers and the act circle is prosperous, it will not be too late to target commercially. If Luoyang said this in the past, he would not have said it, and everyone would definitely sneer at it. As a business rival, no matter how small your circle is, you must first exclude dissidents. But Zhang Xinran is too famous, and the other party is a recognized comic pure love master. Even if Tencent Comics wants to compete, it can't find a cartoonist who can compete with the other party. Although the comics industry has not yet reached the state of 100 styles of painting, it has already taken shape. The most obvious change is the comic book industry. They were the first to feel the fear of being dominated by the wonderful pen, and they were also the first to imitate the style of the Susian series. Many people have already released the latest chapters of the book, and then received praise from readers and fans. This kind of positive development has allowed Tencent Comics to see the bright future of ACK. In addition, they really don't know how to target Zhang Xinran, so they put this idea aside. Now, Tencent Comics no longer has this idea, because it can no longer suppress Zhang Xinran. However, Tencent Comics is not in a hurry, and it will still be what it should be. The popularity of Book of Life and Death can be summarized in one sentence, that is, all the comics in the comics industry combined cannot compare to Book of Life and Death, even 100 Days of Breaking Up is the same. This is why Tencent Comics is not worried. With Susiener in charge, Tencent Comics really doesn't need to worry. But now Susiener wants to draw pure love comics? How did this idea come up? Zhao Jing didn't wait for Susiener to speak, and continued, Miobi, 100 Days of Breakup is the new favorite in the comics industry recently. Several celebrities on Weibo were actually fans of Zhang Xinran in the early days. They also helped each other to promote it because of the contact of Yu Yaokai. We can't compare with this, but the other party can't surpass Book of Life and Death either, so you don't have to worry. It's not too late to consider new comics after Book of Life and Death is finished. And there are a lot of readers and fans urging you to draw a book. Thinking about the feedback from the customer service, Zhao Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Susiener's Susien series has been discontinued for a month. Since the last live broadcast, it has not been updated. Some fans thought that it was because of the last live broadcast that Susiener was still angry and deliberately didn't update. Of course, he didn't tell Susiener this. Now that Book of Life and Death is in full swing, he doesn't want her to focus on other comics. This is also the reason why he tactfully persuaded Susiener not to draw pure love. As a suspenseful reasoning dual theme, the story plot and logic require extremely rigorous details, which is very brain-burning. This is also the reason why Yu Yaokai is not worried that Tencent Animation will let Susiener come out to make trouble. But now Susiener wants to draw pure love? I have conceived the plot of Life and Death book and the ending. As long as the assistants are fast enough, it will be fine. Rolling her eyes, Susiener was speechless. She said a word and the other party advised her not to draw pure love comics. Really, Zhao Jing was surprised. The plot of Life and Death book is getting more and more tense and exciting, so Tencent Animation has been worried recently that if the other party can't control it, it will be fun. At that time, the Animation Administration Bureau will probably be surprised in vain, so now with Susiener's guarantee, Zhao Jing can be regarded as a big relief. Then thinking of the reason why Susiener called him, Zhao Jing hesitated for a while and said, in fact, Teacher Miobi, Tencent Animation generally doesn't care what you want to draw, but if it's pure love, you should consider it, if possible, I suggest you finish watching 100 Days of Breakup first. Susiener was stunned for a moment, and then said speechlessly, I'm not going to compete with her. She knew what Zhao Jing meant. Obviously, he thought she went there for 100 Days of Breakup, but she didn't, but went there for that request. But Zhao Jing smiled bitterly and said, Teacher Miyobi, even if it is not for this reason, the media will not think it is not the case. In other words, as soon as you announce the painting of pure love, even if I believe it, others will not believe it. Susiener is now the backbone of Tencent Animation, but Zhao Jing does not want the other party to be involved in pure love, because Zhang Xinran, a pure love person, makes the other party experienced. Susiener did create a style of painting, but Zhao Jing was also doubtful if the other party could tell pure love stories. Of course, he hoped that the other party's second book would also be a suspense mystery and follow this path. It's a pity that Susiener didn't play by the rules and wanted to draw pure love. This made it clear that she was fighting Zhang Xinran in the ring, which Zhao Jing didn't want to see. It's okay to win, but if she loses, Susiener's current godlike reputation will be suppressed by Zhang Xinran. This is completely worth the loss. Therefore, it is best to avoid arguing. Anyway, Zhang Xinran just loves everyone. After this subject classification, a famous artist can seduce each other casually. I'm just here to talk to you. Anyway, I want to draw pure love. Susiener was speechless. How could he raise others' ambitions and destroy his own prestige? Tencent is so domineering in other industries, why is Tencent Animation so cowardly? Zhao Jing was speechless, and in the end he could only say, then, okay, but after you finish drawing the first chapter, Mr. Miyobi, it would be best if you can show it to the editor of Tencent Animation. By the way, have you thought of the name of the comic? I've thought about it, it's called Your Name, and the main reason I'm here to talk to you is not about comics, but about animated movies. Animated movie. Yes, an animated movie. Many people in OVO have discovered that there seems to be no storyline about the main character drawing a book recently. I can't help it, it's the time when I'm scanning X and I don't dare to write. Old readers probably know that in chapter 88, I made a thick mosaic of the main character's dubbing paragraph, but 2 paragraphs were deleted. Leftward arrow. Leftward arrow. So I sorted out the plot of the protagonist's drawing book and put it into the future content, so, let's wait for the storm to pass. OVO. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Shen Wu. Chapter 132. Yizhu, the land of Sichuan and Shu, has been blessed with outstanding people since ancient times. In ancient times, this place was even called the land of abundance. In modern times, due to the provincial capital, the Fog City has separated from Yizhu and has become a municipality directly under the central government, a national central city and even an international city. The terrain of the Fog City is mainly mountainous and hilly. The mountains are in the city and the city is on the mountains, so it is a mountain city in the hearts of the Chinese people. At this time, 5 days have passed since Susiener was going to draw pure love comics. Dear students, this is Lingzhen, which is the most remote place in the Fog City. A middle-aged man with 2 thin mustaches puffed his cigarette butt, parked the dilapidated bus on the road halfway up the mountain, and then pointed to the town looming in the mist outside the car window and smiled. As the middle-aged man pointed, a group of students looked out the left window and exclaimed, "So beautiful!" The name of the Foggy City and Mountain City is really well deserved. This is not a tourist attraction, but a remote mountain area. The car stopped on the left road halfway up the mountain, leaning against the fence. At a glance, everyone saw a very light mist. At noon, the sun penetrated the mist, and the smoke was lingering, as if covered with golden gauze, beautiful as a fairyland. Under the mist, Everyone could clearly see the uneven houses below. Because of the distance, it felt like these houses were standing on the mountain. Hearing this, the middle-aged man smiled proudly and said, "Although our fog city cannot be called the place with the most mountains, the name of the mountain city is not for nothing. Of course, it has developed into a metropolis now, but that is only the urban area. And because of the mountainous reason, many areas are still undeveloped, resulting in many beautiful places, most of which are sparsely populated." As he said, the middle-aged man put out his cigarette butt and said directly, "Everyone sit tight, let's go straight to Lingzhen now. Tisk tisk, there should be the place you are looking for here, right?" Lu Ruyan leaned on the seat with sunglasses and said lazily. "Who knows?" Chen Shui leaned against the window, marveling at the scenery just now. Hearing Lu Ruyan's words, he sighed, "We have come all the way from the Magic City to here for 3 or 4 days, and we haven't found anything that meets the requirements. If there is nothing here, we have to go to the 10,000 mountains to find it." A few days ago, Chen Shui accepted Susienner's task, and naturally investigated the places in the country with many mountains and beautiful scenery. After all, many places have been developed by modernization. If you want to find something that meets Susienner's requirements, you must look for it in remote places. At first, she asked Lu Ruyan to follow her to look for it and travel. But Lu Ruyan had a strong sense of crisis and said that to find such a place, she would definitely have to go to a remote mountainous area. It would be better to take classmates from the same class to go together. Anyway, everyone was about to graduate, so it was not impossible to get together and travel. At that time, the AA system could also save money for Susienner. Nearly 20 people agreed with Lu Ruyan's travel proposal. So the 7-day and 7-night self-guided tour plan this time started 3 or 4 days ago. As the proposer of this time, Lu Ruyan was naturally their team leader. In addition, the other party was the president of the student union and had rich leadership experience, so he led them wherever they went. "Don't worry," Lu Ruyan said leisurely, "anyway, we will find it until we find it, and Mayor Jin just said that there was a mountain here in ancient times that seemed to have been hit by a meteorite, and it seemed that the mountain was hit and dented. The terrain was strange. We will go and see it directly later." "Okay." Chen Shui could only look forward to it. Half an hour later, when Chen Shui and her group arrived at Lingzhen, they found that what they had just seen from the halfway road was not an illusion. These houses were actually built on the mountain, and the distances between neighbors were different. Lingzhen is not big. There are less than 1,000 households in the Yongxing Mountains, and the population is scattered and messy, but fortunately the road is built so that it is not bumpy. "We're here. This is the commercial street of Lingzhen." The bus stopped, and the middle-aged man grinned. The students looked at both sides of the street and rolled their eyes. "This is the commercial street? Don't be ashamed." The bus stopped beside a small street. There were scattered houses on both sides. There was no regular store to be seen. The canteens, vegetable and meat vendors were mixed together. Obviously, it could only be regarded as a vegetable market, and there were very few people, only 2 or 3 people. Some people leaned directly on the chair, fanning themselves and relaxing with their eyes closed. Seeing this scene, the hearts of the people could not help but calm down, as if they were infected. Chen Shui got out of the car and took a deep breath, feeling the birdsong in the mountain stream. It's different to be surrounded by mountains. The air is so fresh. Okay, business is important. Lu Ruyan didn't forget about Chen Shui. At this time, the students all said hello, agreed to meet in the afternoon, and then started to stroll along the road. Anyway, there was only one road, so they didn't worry about getting lost. "Mayor Jin, where is the strange mountain you mentioned? Can you take us to see it?" "No problem," Mayor Jin readily agreed. After all, he had received money from the other party, so he naturally had to provide attentive service. He drove a tricycle from his home and said, "Come on, We have to pass Gongshui village to get there, and I'm afraid you two girls don't have enough strength. Is it far? The two got on the battery tricycle. Mayor Jin started the engine, and then he talked non-stop. Don't worry, it's not far. That place is the place where the gods of the gods worshipped by the Gongshui shrine are enshrined, but there is no road, so we still have to climb the mountain when the time comes. But don't worry, every time it's time for sacrifice, the people of Gongshui village will go up the mountain to worship, so there is a mountain road, but it's not a concrete road. Shrine. Lu Ruyan squinted, enjoying the breeze, and asked curiously, is Gongshui village the village of the He tribe? Yes, but I don't know whether they called it Miyamizu village because of their surname Miyamizu or because of the Miyamizu shrine. Anyway, our village here is not particular about naming. Mayor Jin's answer made Chen Shui laugh. What is that? When the trees on the left suddenly disappeared, Lu Ruyan and Chen Shui's eyes suddenly lit up. At this time, they were on an uphill slope. Looking down to the left, a large lake came into their eyes with sparkling waves. But if it was just a simple lake, they wouldn't be surprised, but looking down from above, it looked like a waning moon. Oh, this is Waning Moon Lake. You can tell by looking at its shape. Mayor Jin didn't find anything strange, but he still thought of something and said, the entire Gongshui village is spread out next to Waning Moon Lake, and the scenery here is, absolutely, so the school is also built here. If you want to go fishing later, you can borrow a fishing rod from someone in Gongshui village. We have good mountains, good water, and good people in Lingzhen, but it is relatively remote. You two little girls, please go back. If you think this place is good, you can help us promote it. If there are students who want to travel here in the future, you can ask me to guide you. As the mayor of Lingtown, Jin Qi has always wanted to lead the people in the town to get rich together, but they don't have any specialties or coal mines here. They can only think of tourism as a way out. Unfortunately, this place is rarely populated and remote. No, no one will come. No problem. Chen Shui and Lu Ruyan responded naturally with smiles. 10 minutes later, the three of them arrived at Miyamizu village. The village seemed ordinary against the backdrop of the surrounding scenery, but the construction of Miyamizu shrine seemed more extraordinary. Obviously, the people in the village still valued the shrine. As for the arrival of Mayor Jin, who wanted to take Chen Shui and Lu Ruyan to visit the scenery on the top of the mountain, the village chief of Gongshui village obviously had no objection. The mayor of Gongshui village agreed with the mayor's desire to develop Lingtown into a tourist attraction, but he felt that the other party was a bit fanciful. In addition, the place was extremely remote, so he naturally had no expectations. After more than 10 minutes of climbing, when Chen Shui and Lu Ruyan stood on the top of the mountain and looked at the bowl-shaped natural terrain environment that seemed to be isolated from the world, they couldn't help but be shocked. This is the huge crater that was blown up by meteorites in ancient times. Ovo, please vote. Transformed into a comic book artist. Author, Miao by Sheng Wu. Chapter 133. When Susiener was playing games at home, she received a call from Chen Shui. The other party asked her to read QQ messages and said that she had found a place that met her needs. To be honest, Susiener had been waiting at home for 5 days, and her enthusiasm was almost gone. In the past few days, Zhao Jing would call her whenever he had something to do, asking her what an animated movie was, which confused her. Then I learned that there are no animated movies in this world. Even if this is a muscle style, animated movies will not exist. After all, the big animation countries in the previous life were the Island Country and Takajang. And even if the character drawing style is not good, it does not just need characters to make animated movies. Foreign animals are semi-anthropomorphic. There are many animated movies. For example, the Disney series, after a 100-degree search, it was discovered that there was none at all. The same is true for other movies, so the term animated movie has not yet been proposed. As soon as Susianer said it, Zhao Jing, a man with a sharp mind, became extremely interested. Susianer was very speechless and explained to Zhao Jing that it was an animated movie, which made the other party look confused. Then she lamented again that people in this world lack a lot of spiritual entertainment. But Zhao Jing was not satisfied with this explanation at all, so he harassed her these days. And her Aunt Ye Yuking has already found a good place for her. Common places include schools, overpasses, coffee shops, high-end restaurants, libraries, etc. Ye Yuking also complained that you can find many such places just by looking. Then she found the professional film and television company GG to take detailed photos of these locations and sent the images to her. Finally, it's Chen Shui's place. In fact, Susianer also knew that it would be harmless if she randomly painted the background environment. But Susianer always believed that she was plagiarizing. Since it was plagiarism, she must have professional ethics. Xin Hikens your name restored reality, so she naturally had to do the same. Of course, the most important thing is to make Lin Jingshu feel shocked and satisfy the other person's shock after satisfying the pure love comic aspect. Then the other party will probably not resist the request. As a result, I waited for Chen Shui for 5 days. I almost forgot about this while playing games these days. Now when Chen Shui called, Susianer opened Chen Shui's message, then looked at a photo in the chat box, her mouth gradually opened. I'll choke you. Izue Ashima. The picture sent by Chen Shui made Susianer almost jump. Because the picture was very one-sided, she didn't know it was a mountain, but this kind of terrain surprised her. In the animated movie Your Name, many people are probably very curious about the location of the divine body of Miyamizu Shrine. The sunken terrain is like a giant bowl, full of mystery. This location is Izue Ashima, an outlying island country in the previous life. It is a volcanic island in the southern part of the RB Izu Islands. This is reality. Susianer asked Chen Shui to find a place with strange terrain. Naturally, she did not explain it in detail, but just asked the other party to find a strange place. Her requirements are not high, so when the time comes, she will modify the background environment of the comics according to China's real terrain. She is ready to fight for a long time. It turned out that the photo Chen Shui sent her was very consistent with the terrain in the animated movie, so she was not surprised. Did you see it? Chen Shui heard Susianer's voice and couldn't help but said proudly, I searched for you for nearly a week before I found this place, and this place is Lingtown in the remote mountainous area of Wudug. It's very remote. The terrain in the photo was formed by the impact of ancient meteorites over hundreds of years. It is considered a semi-natural landform. It later became the shrine of Miyamizu village 100 years ago. Wait, what did you say? Susianer was stunned. Gongshui village? What Gongshui village? It's Gongshui village, Chen Shui briefly explained the situation in Lingtown. Susianer swallowed her saliva, stared and asked, Ask the mayor for me if there is a person named Gongshui Sanyi in Gongshui village who chews wine. The village chief of Gongshui village is next to us. Let me ask for you. Although Chen Shui was confused, she still asked the question to the village chief of Gongshui village next to her. There is a person named Mitsuha Miyamizu, but it seems that he is from an older generation and has passed away. As for chewing wine, what is that? Hearing this, Susianer breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out that this world was not a two-dimensional world, which scared her to death. It seems that this ridge town is just a coincidence. After all, the prototype of Itamura town in the Your Name animated movie is Hida City in Gifu Prefecture, an island country. It is very different from the ridge town that Chen Shui just mentioned. The Gongshui village in Lingtown should be a village that China migrated to after absorbing the islanders. After 100 years, I have lived in Lingtown for a long time. But there is even a shrine, so Susianer doesn't know what to say, but the lake is obviously different. The lake in the animated movie that surrounds the people who live in the town is Nagano-Suwa Lake in real life, and Ling, although the lake on the other side of the town is quite large, its shape is the shape of a waning moon, which is obviously different. It seems like there are a lot of things she needs to change. Although there is Miyamizu village, a shrine, and the rare bowl-shaped landform on the top of the mountain, she also learned that there are only about 30 households in Miyamizu village, and the people in Kailing town are not densely populated like in the animated movies, but rather along the surrounding mountains. Houses and neighbors are built in the mountains. In this case, if Susiener wanted to paint, she would naturally focus on Lingzhen. After all, comics also need artistic processing. She will not change the plot of your name, but the background environment needs to be based on Lingzhen. Susiener is clear about this. I see you don't have time now. Find a film and television GG company tomorrow and use an aerial photography aircraft to take pictures of the whole picture over there for me, and then find someone to use a camera to start from the highway outside and take pictures of the mountain scenery along the way step by step. I want to use it. No problem, Chen Shui naturally agreed, but her curiosity had exploded at this time, and she couldn't help asking, by the way, I don't know what you asked me to find these for. For drawing comics. Hearing this, Chen Shui was confused, and Lu Ruyan next to her was also stunned when she saw this question. What kind of comics need such realistic scenes? After Susiener hung up Chen Shui's phone, she couldn't help but rub her hands, and then she thought of something and called Zhao Jing. I have an animation film project here, do you want to do it? What? Zhao Jing was confused, but although he didn't know what Susiener meant, he still said calmly, Mr. Miyobi, if you have any wonderful creative ideas, I think you can come to the company to discuss it with us. It's too cold outside, I don't want to go out, come to my house. It's November now, the weather is getting colder, and it drizzled in the morning. It's too cold, Susiener naturally doesn't want to leave the air-conditioned room to blow the cold wind. Zhao Jing couldn't help laughing and crying when he heard it, but he didn't refuse. After hanging up Zhao Jing's phone, Susiener called Chen Rui again and said the same thing just now, which aroused Chen Rui's curiosity, and then decided to go to Susiener's house. I have the responsibility to recommend a large-scale domestic anti-corruption TV series, in the name of the people. I have the responsibility to recommend a movie, The Accidental Manslaughter.